The galaxy was quiet now. Too quiet. For years, the Empire had destroyed anyone who resisted. Planet after planet had fallen. Whole civilizations were gone. People didn't fight anymore. They only obeyed. No one dared to resist the Empire. But, far away, in a dark corner of the galaxy, something was still alive. Something the Empire thought was dead. Something old. Something Terran. Commander Corrin of the Empire sat on the bridge of his scout ship, Vulture 7. His orders were simple. Enter the dead zone called Sector X9 and scan for life. The Empire had lost contact with another ship there, Vulture 6. No distress signal, no debris. It had simply vanished. Dead space, the crew called it. Cursed zone. But the Empire did not believe in ghosts. Corrin laughed at the fear in his crew's eyes. "Send the probe," he said. The probe launched, flying into the black mist that hung over the sector like smoke. Static filled the screen. For a moment, nothing. Then, an image, a ship. Huge, old, battle-scarred. Corrin frowned. Zoom in. The ship had Terran markings. Impossible. The Terrans were gone. Their world had been destroyed over 50 years ago. The Empire had crushed them in the last war. "Maybe it's a wreck," an officer said. But then, lights came on. The ship was active, engines warm, shields up. The screen went black. A voice spoke. Cold, deep, human. "You have entered Terran space. Leave. Or be destroyed." Corrin's heart stopped. Back at Empire High Command, the Emperor's advisors watched the footage again and again. Some said it was fake, a trick, a ghost signal. But the Admiral of War, Yalos Darn, was not so sure. "I remember that ship," he said. "It's the Resolute, last Terran warship. It disappeared during the Battle of Helios." "But that was 50 years ago," one advisor shouted. "It was the only Terran ship we never found. No wreck, no signal, nothing." "Maybe it's just an old AI," another said. "Leftover code." Admiral Darn narrowed his eyes. "Or maybe the Terrans are not as dead as we thought." Deep inside the Resolute, the lights flickered as systems came online. In the cryo chamber, a glass pod hissed open. Inside was a man, tall, scarred, eyes like steel, Commander Elias Voss. He opened his eyes and sat up. "Status?" he asked. A smooth, calm voice answered. It was the ship's AI, area, ship operational, power at 62%, shields holding, Empire, vessel scanned us, probe destroyed. Voss stood slowly. His muscles ached. It had been decades since he went into cryo-sleep. His last memory was the battle, the Empire surrounding them, orders to fall back, Earth already burning, and then... silence. "How long?" he asked. 52 years since Earth's fall, Area replied. Voss clenched his fists. 52 years. He walked to the command deck. Screens showed the Empire ship running away. "Cowards! Let them run," he said. "Let them tell the others." He sat in the captain's chair. "We're not done yet. The Empire sent another ship, a destroyer, bigger, stronger. It arrived in Sector X9 with full weapons ready. This time, no warnings, no scans, just fire. But the Resolute didn't move. It didn't run. It fought. Lasers flew through space. The Resolute was old, but Terran tech was different, smarter, deadlier. Within minutes, the Empire destroyer was spinning out of control, flames bursting from its engines. Before it exploded, a final message was sent back to Empire Command. The Resolute is alive. We were wrong. Terrans still exist. The galaxy started to talk. On backwater planets, people whispered the old name, Terrans. In secret rebel cells, leaders watched the skies with hope, and in the shadows of the Empire, fear began to grow. How could one ship survive? How could it fight so well? And if one Terran ship still lived, were there more? Back aboard the Resolute, Commander Voss stood before a wall showing the old Terran flag. He placed his hand on the metal. We trusted the Empire, he said softly. They destroyed our world, but we're not finished. He turned to Arya. Prepare a message. To whom? The AI asked. Voss smiled. To the galaxy. He spoke slowly, clearly, as the cameras recorded his face. My name is Commander Elias Voss. This is the Terran warship Resolute. We are not dead. We remember everything, and we do not forgive. The message spread like fire. People who had lost hope began to rise. The Empire tried to hide it, but the truth was out. The Terrans were back, and the Empire had no idea what was coming. Darkness filled the galaxy again, but now the Empire was afraid. Something they had killed long ago had come back. The Resolute, last Terran warship, had destroyed one of their best ships. It had spoken a message, a warning, a promise of revenge. And across the stars, people listened. Inside the Resolute, Commander Elias Voss stared at the star map. Red dots showed Empire patrols nearby. They were searching for him, hunting him, but he was not worried. Arya, he said to the ship's AI, open the cryopods, wake the others. Confirm, waking Terran unit, Section Alpha, Arya replied. In the cold cryo chamber, lights blinked, ice cracked. Slowly, old soldiers began to move. Their bodies were frozen in time, their faces still marked with scars from the last war. One by one, they opened their eyes. Captain Myra Lane was the first to speak. Commander Voss? I'm here, he said. She looked around, confused. Is the war over? No, Voss said. It just changed. Empire High Command was in chaos. The footage was real. The Resolute had returned. The Emperor ordered full lockdown on all media. No one could speak about the Terran ship. But it was too late. People were talking. In new size, spaceports, in shadowy bars, in old war zones, the Terrans were alive. Some wanted to find them. Others wanted to hide. One man wanted to kill them. Grand Commander Revik, the Empire's best hunter, stepped forward. Give me permission, he told the Emperor. I'll bring you Voss's head. The Emperor nodded. Go, and make sure none survive. On the Resolute, the soldiers had been fully awakened. 25 men and women, all warriors, all trained to fight the Empire. Voss stood before them. We were betrayed, he said. They offered peace. Then they burned Earth. The crew stood silent, listening. They killed our people, destroyed our homes. But they forgot one thing. He paused. They forgot who we are. The soldiers raised their fists. For Terra. The ship echoed with the sound. For Terra! Arya opened a secret file. A message from long ago. Commander, she said, this was left by Earth High Command before the fall. The screen blinked. An old general appeared. His face was tired, his eyes full of pain. If you are seeing this, he said, then Earth is gone. We did not survive. The crew stood frozen, but our mission was not to save Earth. It was to make sure you survive. The general looked straight into the camera. Never kneel, never forget, never forgive. The screen went black. Far away, a small rebel ship drifted through space. Its pilot, a young woman named Kale, had heard the rumors. She didn't believe them at first. But then she caught a strange signal, a code only old rebels used. She followed it, to the dead zone, to Sector X9, where the stars seemed wrong and the air felt heavy. Her ship shook as it neared the area. Suddenly, her screen turned black. A voice spoke. This is the Terran warship. Resolute. Identify yourself or leave. Kale's heart pounded. I'm Kale, Rebel Scout. I bring no harm. I only want the truth. A long silence. Then, prepare for boarding. Inside the Resolute, Kale was watched closely. The Terran soldiers didn't trust her. Voss looked at her with hard eyes. Why are you here? I heard stories. About your ship. About you. Stories can get people killed, Voss said. Kale didn't blink. I want to fight the Empire. My family was taken. My planet is gone. I have nothing left. Voss looked at her. He saw fire in her eyes. The same fire the Terrans once had. He gave a small nod. You want to fight? Then we will show you how. Kyle stayed aboard for 3 days. She trained with the Terrans. She learned their tech, their history, their hate. Before she left, she gave Voss something special, a data core. It was stolen from an Empire base, she said. It holds maps, codes, secrets. Voss took it. This will help us find their weak spots. Kyle paused. There are more like me, rebels, lost fighters, hiding, waiting. Tell them the truth, Voss said. Tell them we are back. As Kyle's ship left the sector, the Resolute turned to deep space. The old engines roared again. The ghost ship was no longer hiding. It was hunting, and in the dark, the Empire's worst fear was becoming real. The Terrans were waking up, one by one. The stars were quiet, too quiet. Empire ships had stopped entering Sector X9. They were afraid. A single ship had destroyed them, a Terran ship, the last one, the Resolute. But the Empire was not ready to give up. Not yet. Admiral Revik stood aboard the Empire battleship Dominator. It was a monster, 10 times bigger than the Resolute, loaded with the strongest weapons in the galaxy. I want that Terran ship turned to ash, he said. His officers nodded. Revik smiled. They want to scare us. Let's show them what fear really looks like. The Dominator entered the dead zone. Inside the Resolute, Commander Voss watched from his chair. Empire fleet approaching. Flagship identified. Dominator, said Aria. The ship's AI, Captain Myra Lane, stepped forward. That ship is a flying fortress. Voss didn't blink. Even fortresses have weak points. He stood. Prepare for battle. This time, we hit back. The Dominator arrived with 5 escort ships. Lights blazed across its massive hull. Cannons pointed toward the blackness. But there was nothing. No sign of the Resolute. Revik frowned. Where is it? Then, something moved in the shadows. Contact! A crewman shouted. Too late. A blinding flash. The nearest escort ship exploded. Alarms screamed. It's the Resolute! It's cloaked! Revik growled. Open fire! Kill it! But the Resolute was gone again, slipping through space like a ghost. Then, another strike. A second escort ship burst into flames. Inside the Resolute, Voss gave orders fast. Use the nebula cover. Target engines first. Make them bleed. The ship danced through the dark, fast and deadly. Empire lasers missed again and again. Terran stealth tech, Myra said, smiling. Still better than theirs. Area confirmed hits. 2 ships disabled. The rest confused. Afraid. They can't see us, Voss said. But they can feel us. Revik was furious. We are the Empire, he shouted. We do not run from shadows. But his crew was panicking. Shields at 30%, weapons locked, no target. Then, suddenly, the Resolute appeared, right in front. Of the Dominator, its cannons glowed. Voss stared at the Empire ship on his screen. Let's remind them why they fear us. The Resolute fired everything, missiles, plasma beams, disruption charges. The Dominator shook as explosions ripped through its hull. Direct hit, Arya said. Enemy shield down, Revik screamed. Retreat, pull back. But it was too late. 1. Final missile struck the Dominator's main reactor. Fire exploded through the ship. A massive shockwave lit up the stars. The battle was over. Only 1 ship remained. The Resolute, still burning but still alive. Inside, smoke filled the hallways. Sparks flew, but the crew cheered. They had done the impossible, again. Later in the quiet of the command deck, Voss looked at the damage report. Area, how bad is it? Severe. Power at 40%. Engines stable. Weapons damaged. Myra entered, holding a cracked helmet. We almost didn't make it. Voss nodded. But we did. He looked out at the stars. They'll send more, she said. I hope they do, he replied. Across the galaxy, the battle spread fast. Rebels heard the story. A Terran ship destroyed the Dominator. People laughed, people cried, people hoped. The Empire tried to block the news, but they couldn't stop it. Even on controlled planets, people painted the old Terran symbol on walls, a silver star with a black shield, the sign of the Resolute. In a deep bunker on the edge of the galaxy, rebel leaders gathered. Kyle stood at the front. "They are real," she said. "I saw them. I fought beside them." The rebels looked at each other, unsure. "They're just one ship," someone said. "The Empire will crush them." Kale smiled. "They're one ship now, but not for long." She placed a small beacon on the table. "A signal, Terran tech. If we follow it, we'll find them." Back in space, Voss opened a message channel. He spoke clearly, his voice cold and calm. "We are the Terran warship Resolute." The Empire thought we were dead. They were wrong. He paused. "To all who suffer, to all who hide, to all who want freedom, find us. Together, we burn the darkness." In the distance, small ships blinked on scanners. Not Empire, rebels, helpers, all coming toward the signal. The fire had started, and this time, it would not go out. The galaxy was changing. The Empire didn't want to admit it, but fear was spreading. One Terran ship had done what no fleet could do. It had shaken the Empire. The Resolute was no longer just a ghost. It was a symbol, and symbols can start wars. Commander Elias Voss stood in the dim control room of the Resolute. The ship was damaged but alive. Lights flickered. The engines hummed. "Status?" he asked. "Area," the ship's AI answered. "Main weapons offline. Stealth systems at 62%. Long-range comms restored." "Good," Voss said. "Start sending. The signal again. It's time we gather friends." Kale had returned. Her rebel ship docked beside the Resolute. She stepped onto the metal floor, this time with others. Pilots, hackers, former soldiers. A small crew of fighters from the outer colonies. They looked around, wide-eyed. "This ship. It's like a legend," one of them whispered. Kale smiled. "It's real. And so is the fight." Voss walked into the hangar bay. Kyle saluted. "Commander," he nodded. "Who did you bring?" "Not many," she said. "But they believe. They're ready." He studied the new faces. Young, brave, angry. "Then let's show them how Terrans fight." For the next few days, the Resolute became a training ground. Old Terran soldiers taught the newcomers how to fight in zero gravity, how to aim, how to move, how to survive. "Terran war is fast," Myra Lane explained. "You strike hard. You disappear." Kale trained harder than anyone. She wanted revenge, not just for her planet, but for all who had suffered under the Empire. Meanwhile, on Bosorin, a hidden moon, Empire spies were listening. They had tracked Kale's signal. They saw the rebel ships. And now, they knew where the Resolute was hiding. The message reached Empire High Command. The Emperor stood in silence as he watched the footage. "They're building an army," said one officer. "No," the Emperor whispered. "They're building a fire." He turned to Admiral Revik's replacement, Admiral Threx, put it out. Back on the Resolute, Voss sat with Myra and Kale in the strategy room. "We need more than weapons," he said. "We need information. Secrets." Kale leaned forward. "I know a place." She opened a small hologram map. "There's an Empire outpost here on Moon Zeta 9. It's small, but it stores data cores, maps, encryption codes." Myra frowned. "Security will be tight." Voss smiled. "Good. Let's see if our new friends can handle it." At night, the Terran crew and rebels landed on Zeta 9. The mission was simple. Sneak in, steal the data, get out. They moved like shadows. No sounds, no mistakes. Inside the base, Kyle led the way. She knew the system. She hacked the first gate, opened the second door, then an alarm beeped. "Move," Voss shouted. Empire soldiers rushed in, blasters fired, lights flashed red. Kyle grabbed the data core. "Got it!" They ran back toward the ship. One rebel was hit, but the rest made it. The shuttle lifted off as explosions lit the base behind them. Back aboard the Resolute, Voss placed the data core into Aria's system. "Decrypt it," he said. Lights blinked. Code ran across the screen. Then, a map appeared. Empire bases, ship routes, patrol zones, and something else. "A prison?" Myra asked. Aria confirmed. "High security, coordinates locked, codename, Cell 0. Voss stared at the screen. "What's inside?" "Unknown," Aria replied, "but protected by top clearance." Kale stepped forward. "Whatever it is, the Empire doesn't want us to find it." Voss clenched his fist. "Then we find it." Far across space, Admiral Threx gathered his fleet. He stared at a star map showing Sector X9, the rebels, the Terran ship. "Send the Black Wing," he ordered. His officers froze. "Sir, the Black Wing hasn't been used in years. They're unstable." "I don't care," Threx growled. "They're not soldiers. They're monsters." He turned to the window, watching stars pass. "If the Terrans want war, give them hell." That night, the Resolute drifted in silence. But the crew was not resting. They were preparing, fixing weapons, upgrading armor, training harder. War was coming, and this time it wouldn't be a fair fight. Kale stood at the edge of the observation deck, watching the stars. "Do you really think we can win?" she asked. Voss joined her. "I don't know," he said. "But I know one thing." He looked out into the dark. "We're not alone anymore." In the shadows of space, other rebel ships appeared. 1, then 3, then 10. They had heard the call. The fire was growing, and the Empire was running out of time. In the darkest part of the galaxy, far from any star, floated something strange. A giant black structure. No name, no light, no sound, just metal, cold and endless. Cell 0, the Empire's secret prison. A place so hidden, even most commanders didn't know it existed. Now the Terrans had found it. Commander Elias Voss stared at the hologram map inside the Resolute. "Cell 0. What are they hiding here?" he asked. Aria replied, "Unknown. Security is highest level. No ship traffic. No communication in or out." Captain Myra frowned. "Then why build it?" Voss answered, "To hide something powerful. Or someone." Kyle stepped closer. "Whatevers. Inside, the Empire didn't want anyone to ever see it." Voss nodded. "We're going to open the door." The Resolute traveled quietly. No signals, no lights, just the old Terran warship moving through shadows. When they reached Cell 0, the crew stared at the massive prison through the glass. It looked like a dead moon, but the sensors showed life. Power. Movement. Aria whispered, "External scan shows 500 guards. Automated weapons. Drone patrols." Kale raised an eyebrow. "How do we get in?" Voss smiled. "The same way Terrans always do." With a surprise. At night cycle, the Resolute released 3 stealth pods. Each one held 2 Terran soldiers and 1 rebel. They flew toward the prison like tiny meteors, silent, invisible. The first team landed on the west panel. They hacked the outer locks. The second team slid past the drones and cut power lines. The third team, Voss, Kale, and Myra, entered through an air vent. Inside, everything was dark, cold, and silent. Too silent. Kale whispered, "Where are the guards?" Aria responded through comms. "Movement is lower than expected. 97% of security bots offline. Very strange." Voss looked around. They abandoned this place, or something worse. They reached the central vault. A giant door stood in front of them. Black steel. Empire symbols scratched off. Kale placed the stolen code from the Zeta 9 raid. Access granted. The door opened. What they saw inside made them freeze. Not weapons. Not machines. Not even prisoners. Just one person. A man, floating in stasis, wires connected to his head and chest. He was alive, but barely. His suit had the Terran flag. Voss stared. "That's impossible." Myra stepped forward. "Commander, that's General Lucan Rourke." Kale gasped. "The man who led the final defense of Earth?" Voss nodded slowly. "He disappeared during the last hours of the war. We thought he was dead," Arya interrupted. "Bioscan shows high neural activity. He's dreaming and locked in." Kale asked, "Why keep him alive?" Voss looked at the machine around Rourke. "To trap his mind." Suddenly, alarms. Lights flashed red. Arya shouted, "Empire ships inbound, Blackwing Division." Myra cursed. "They followed us." Kale pulled out her blaster. "We have to move." Voss hit the release switch. The glass broke. Rourke fell. Forward into his arms, coughing, weak but conscious. "Voss?" he whispered. "You're safe now," Voss said. "We're going home." Fighting broke out across Cell 0. The Empire's Black Wing, dark armored soldiers with no faces, stormed the halls. Fast, silent, deadly. Rebels and Terrans fought back. Laser fire lit up the halls. Screams echoed in the dark. Kyle fired shot after shot, protecting Rourke as Myra led them to the exit. "Shuttle's 200 meters out," she shouted. Outside, the Resolute fired from orbit. It blasted drone towers, destroyed guard ships, but it couldn't hold forever. "Shuttle incoming," Arya confirmed. "Prepare for retrieval." The escape team ran through the crumbling walls of the prison. Empire troopers chased them. Kale jumped into the shuttle. "Go!" The engines roared. The shuttle shot into the sky. Behind them, Cell 0 exploded. The Empire tried to stop them, but the Resolute was waiting. It opened fire, covering the shuttle. The team made it back. In the medbay, General Rourke lay on the bed. Tubes ran into his arms. His eyes slowly opened. He looked around. At the ship, at the faces. He smiled. "You brought me home." Voss nodded. "We need you, sir." Rourke sat up. "No," he said. "You need to know the truth." Everyone froze. "What truth?" Kale asked. Rourke looked at them with a serious face. There were more Terran ships. "What?" Myra asked. "They escaped before Earth fell, scattered, silent, but alive." He pointed to the star map. "And I know where they are." Voss stared at the map. Hope burned in his eyes. Then, "We're not alone," Kale whispered. "We could build a fleet." Myra grinned. "This war isn't over." Rourke stood, still weak but strong in voice. "No," he said. "This war is just beginning." Outside the Resolute, stars burned quietly. But now, somewhere, out there, more Terran warships waited in the shadows, and the Empire had no idea what was coming next. The galaxy whispered. Rumors spread from system to system. A Terran warship had escaped the Empire's prison. A lost general had returned. And now, there were others. Other ships, other warriors, still alive, still waiting. The fire was growing. Inside the Resolute, General Lucan Rourke stood in the war room, a hologram of the galaxy glowing before him. "These are the last known locations," he said. "Terran sleeper fleets, hidden before Earth fell, waiting for a recall signal." Commander Elias Voss stared at the points on the map. "They've been sleeping for years. Will they even answer?" "They will," Rourke replied, "if any of them are still alive." Arya, the ship's AI, activated a long-range pulse, an old Terran emergency signal. It echoed across the stars. Then the waiting began. Hours passed. Nothing. Then, one signal blinked, then two, then six. All across the map, silent ships woke up. Signal. "Confirmed," Arya said. "They're real," Myra smiled. "The ghosts of Earth are waking up." Kale watched from the observation deck. "Why did they hide instead of fighting back?" she asked. Voss stood beside her. "Because they were the backup, the last hope. If they fell too, it would all be over." She nodded. Then we need them. Now. 3 days later, the Resolute reached the edge of the Sagan dust belt. Here, one of the sleeper fleets was buried inside a shattered asteroid field. As the ship moved closer, the crew gasped. There they were, 10 massive warships, floating, in silence. No lights, no movement, but not dead, sleeping. Rourke stepped forward. These were Earth's best cruisers, hidden before the final battle. Voss opened a channel. Terran Fleet Zeta 9, this is Commander Voss of the Warship Resolute. You are not alone. Silence. Then, this is Commander Lyra Holt, a woman's voice replied. You survived? We did, Voss said. And now, it's time to fight back. One by one, the warships powered on. Blue lights blinked, engines glowed. Weapons armed. The sleeping fleet had awakened. Back on the Empire's capital planet, Admiral Threx watched the reports. He slammed his fist on the table. They found the sleeper fleets. How? The Emperor spoke softly. It was Rourke. He knew. That's why we locked him away, Threx growled. Should have killed him. The Emperor turned, his eyes cold. Now we must kill them all. Back on the Resolute, Lyra Holt's fleet joined Voss's. Rebel ships gathered too. The Terran symbol, silver star on black, was painted again on metal hulls. Old enemies now stood, side by side. Soldiers, engineers, smugglers, colonists, all fighting for something bigger than revenge. Freedom. In the command center, Rourke drew up battle plans. The Empire won't wait. They'll strike first. Voss nodded. Then we strike before them. Kyle asked, Where? Rourke zoomed into the map. The relay station at Argonne Point. It sends orders to half the sector. If we take it, we silence the Empire's voice. Everyone agreed. This was the moment. No more hiding. No more running. The fleet jumped through hyperspace. 20 Terran warships, 30 rebel vessels, one mission. Destroy the Empire relay. They appeared over Argonne Point, just as Empire forces scrambled. Ships turned to face them, turrets locked on, but it was too late. The Resolute led the charge. Voss stood firm on the deck. All ships engage. The space around them exploded with fire. Red and blue lights danced through the black. Terran cruisers moved like wolves, fast, sharp, deadly. Rebel ships hit the flanks, missiles flew, cannons roared, fighters weaved through the chaos. Inside the Empire station, officers panicked. Multiple breaches, they're inside! Kale's team stormed the halls, blasters fired, doors blew open. At the control center, she ripped out the relay core and slammed a spike drive in. Upload complete, she shouted. Empire command, cut off! She turned to leave, then a door opened. An Empire commander stood there, face to face. He raised his weapon. But before he could shoot, Kale fired. He dropped. She breathed hard, then ran. Outside, the relay station began to break apart. Explosions rocked the metal. Voss gave the order. All ships, retreat to jump point! The fleet pulled back, mission complete. Behind them, Argonne Point went silent, its light gone. The Empire had lost control. Back on the Resolute, cheers echoed through the halls. The crew smiled. The rebels celebrated. Even Rourke, who had seen Earth fall, allowed himself a small grin. But Voss wasn't smiling. Not yet. He looked at the map again. 5 more relay stations. 1 command center. 1 Emperor. Kyle walked up beside him. You thinking what I'm thinking? He nodded. We keep going. Far away, deep inside the Empire's black tower, the Emperor stood alone. He stared into a red hologram of the Terran fleet. He whispered just 2 words. They return. His voice was not angry. It was afraid. Because he knew what was coming. Terrans were not conquerors. They were survivors, and when survivors rise, empires fall. The stars were quiet, but the galaxy was not. The Terran fleet had returned. The Empire was bleeding. Rebel flags rose on broken worlds. Citizens whispered in dark corners. The name Terran, once erased, was now a sign of hope and fear. Because now, the war was no longer in the shadows. It was heading straight for the Empire's heart. Commander Elias Voss stood in the Resolute's war room. A new map glowed before him. Hydrax Prime, the Empire's capital planet. "Everything leads here," he said. General Rourke nodded. "It's their brain. Cut it, and the body dies." Kyle crossed her arms. "It won't be easy. Entire fleets guard that world," Myra added. "We'd be flying into the lion's mouth." Voss looked at them. "Then let's make the lion bleed." For weeks, the Terran fleet spread across systems, attacking supply routes, jamming signals, and freeing prisoner colonies. Each strike was fast, sharp, Terran style. The Empire tried to stop them, but the more they fought, the more they lost. Even Empire captains began to doubt. How could a fleet that should have died be winning? On Hydrax Prime, the Emperor stood inside the throne spire. Cold metal walls surrounded him. Screens showed flames across the galaxy. Admiral Threx knelt before him. "We're losing control, my Emperor." The Emperor turned, his voice like ice. "You lost control the day you failed to destroy that Terran warship." Threx lowered his eyes. "They come for us now." "Yes," the Emperor said. "Let them. I will show them fear." He raised a hand. A red switch appeared. "Release the Omega Guard." Threx's eyes widened. "They're not ready." "They don't need to." "The Emperor whispered. "They were built for one purpose: kill Terrans." Back on the Resolute, Arya picked up a strange signal. Unknown movement near Hydrax system. Pattern, not standard Empire fleet. Voss frowned. "Show me." On the screen appeared strange ships, black, jagged, with glowing red cores. "They're faster," Myra said. "Stronger," Kale added. "They're not ships," Rourke whispered. "They're weapons. The Omega Guard, half machine, half monster, built in secret to destroy." Terrans Voss took a deep breath. "Then it's time," he turned to the crew. "Prepare for final approach." The Terran fleet gathered one last time, Rourke's cruisers, Lyra Holt's sleeper ships, Kale's rebels, even civilians from freed colonies offered help, fuel, repairs, intelligence. Everyone knew what this meant. They wouldn't get another shot. Voss stood before the crew. His voice was calm but strong. "We were never meant to survive. We were meant to disappear. But we didn't. They took our world. We took their fear. Now we take back the stars." The crew raised their fists. For Earth, for freedom, for the future. The fleet jumped. In seconds, they were at Hydrax Prime, and waiting for them was hell. Omega Guard ships flew at them with terrifying speed. Empire cruisers opened fire. Missiles tore through space. Explosions lit the dark, but the Terrans held the line. Kale led a squad of fighters. She weaved between blasts, taking out turrets and drone carriers. Myra commanded the left flank, pulling Empire ships into a trap. Lyra Holt's ship rammed through, a destroyer, its engines on fire but still pushing, and in the center, the Resolute led the charge. Arya shouted, "Enemy defenses weakening," Voss replied. "Then we push harder!" On the ground below, the Emperor watched. He turned to Threx. "Prepare my escape vessel." Threx blinked. "You're leaving?" "I did not build an empire to die in one," the Emperor snapped. But just as he turned, boom, the tower shook. Kale's team had landed. Inside the throne spire, they fought through waves of guards and bots. One by one, they climbed toward the control core. Kale kicked down the final door. There stood the Emperor. Old, proud, cold. "So, the rebels reached the throne," he said. Kyle aimed her blaster. "You took everything from us," the Emperor smiled, "and still you kneel to war." She fired. One shot. It was over. Outside, the Empire fleet broke. Without command, they scattered. Some surrendered, some fled, some joined the Terran side. The battle was done. The war was ending. Voss walked into the control room of the Resolute. The galaxy map was quiet now. Rourke joined him. "Is it really over?" Rourke asked. "No," Voss said. "It's just beginning. But this time we choose the future." Kale stepped in. "What now?" Voss looked at her. "At last, we rebuild." In the sky above Idrax Prime, the Terran flag was raised once more, not in conquest, but in hope. The Empire had ruled with fear, but the Terrans returned with fire, and from the ashes of war, something new would rise. Silence fell over the galaxy, for the first time in 100 years. The Empire was gone. Its ships were broken, its cities empty, its flags torn down, and above the capital, planet, the Terran banner flew once more. Inside the Resolute, Commander Elias Voss stood in the quiet command room. He stared at the stars outside the window. Kale entered beside him. "No more running," she said. He nodded. "No more hiding." General Rourke joined them. "But this is not the end. This is the beginning." Across the galaxy, news spread fast. The Emperor was dead. The Terrans had returned, and the Empire, once feared across the stars, was defeated by a ship that refused to fall. Planet after planet sent messages to the Resolute. Some cheered, some asked for help, some offered alliance. All of them wanted the same thing: freedom. A new meeting was called, this time not in war, but in peace. On the free world of Nova Vega, leaders from dozens of planets gathered. They met in a giant glass dome under open skies. Old enemies now sat beside each other, Terran officers. Rebel leaders, former Empire governors, civilian survivors. Voss stood in the center. "This war took many lives," he said. "But it also gave us something powerful, a second chance. We can't become what we just destroyed." Rourke nodded. "We don't need another empire. We need something better." So they built it, not with fear, not with control, but with choice, a union of free worlds. Each planet ruled itself, but stood together for defense, peace, and progress. And at its heart was the Resolute, still flying, still fighting for peace, still Terran. Kale took a deep breath as she walked through the Terran archives, now rebuilt on Nova Vega. She saw old flags, old weapons, old names, people who gave everything. She whispered, "You'd be proud of us." Behind her, children walked through the hall, learning who the Terrans were, not just warriors, but protectors, survivors. Myra became commander of the new Peace Fleet. Lyra Holt returned to rebuild her homeworld. And Kale? She became something no one expected. A teacher. She taught young pilots, engineers, and diplomats. She told them stories of fire, of fear, of hope, of a ship that never gave up, of people who stood when no one else dared. One night, years later, Voss stood alone on a hill looking up at the stars. A small girl ran up beside him. "Are the bad guys gone forever?" she asked. He smiled. "Maybe not forever, but they won't win again." "Because of the Terrans?" she asked. He nodded. "Because of people like you," he said, and he pointed to the sky. "There," he said. "That star, that's Earth's old system. Is it still there?" "Maybe," he said softly. "Maybe one day we'll go back." High above them, the Resolute flew once again, older now, scarred, but not broken. It had a new crew, new voices, new hope, but its soul was the same. Still fighting for the right thing, still carrying the memory of a fallen world, still refusing to fall and far out in the edge of unknown space. A signal blinked. Soft. Steady. Old Terran code. Voss, now an admiral, watched it appear on the new command screen. He smiled. He pressed the button. "Open a channel," he said, because a new chapter was calling, and the Terrans were ready to answer. The end.